The 13th station. Jesus' body is taken down from the cross. Years ago, when our now adult children were still preschool aged, one was still in diapers, my wife and I traveled to the Southern Hemisphere. For 10 weeks, we toured Australia and New Zealand, while a recently retired minister from a church in Australia took on my duties in a small prairie city. During that delightful period in our lives, I took hundreds of photographs and collected a wide variety of remembrances, from tiny clay model houses to books to a wonderful print of a painting of Sydney Harbour from long before the iconic bridge or the Opera House had appeared. Of all the treasures from that marvelous experience, the most valued and consistently used has been a little monograph of pictures and text by Australian Aboriginal artists entitled An Australian Stations of the Cross. That little book calls the 13th station of the cross, Mary Holds Jesus' Dead Body. It's customary to call the 13th station of the cross, Jesus' body is taken down from the cross. Yet in art from almost any period, that moment has been captured, showing Jesus in the arms of his mother. The accompanying text from the Australian Stations of the Cross adds a touching and for some disturbing note. An Aboriginal mother can only comfort a grown-up son in sorrow by touching him with her hand. But once he has died, she can take him in her arms for the last time. The poignancy of the scene cannot be contemplated in isolation. In our world, violence takes the lives of too many young people, whether as fighters for liberty, or defending the indefensible, or as gang members in urban slums. The scene of a mother cradling the body of her child occurs again and again, and the deep sadness of that moment should not be ignored. The caption on the picture in the little book goes on to say of Mary, "She carries him anew, and will mother him again." The role Mary plays in the Christian story is a role played by every mother, to give life to her child as God gives life to us. Cradling the body of her son, Mary goes farther still, for the resurrection begins as she pours out her sorrow and pours out her love for her son. Mary's body and Jesus' body become one in a loving embrace, and Jesus' new life begins as Mary carries his life into hers. Let us pray. O Jesus, beloved, like Mary, we would cradle your battered body, but we cannot. Yet in cradling the ones we love, we do cradle you, embracing you in our love as we are embraced in yours. Let us remember and give thanks for the love we know, and for your love holding us always. Amen. This design is entitled Mary Carries His Life into Hers, and here is the artist's reflection. I can think of no greater sorrow than holding the battered body of one's dead child. Mary must indeed have felt her soul's love and grief intensely poured out, as outwardly she grasps and holds fast to the body of her son. Mary is every parent. Just as Jesus has walked before us through the valley of the shadow of death, which we all must ultimately walk, so is Mary every parent who has grasped at the last earthly evidence of the child they gave life to. I have portrayed Mary fiercely cradling Jesus in her tender love. Heart as heavy as can be, she is weighed down by grief. She is dizzied by the weight as she sinks kneeling into the dust and ground. All she is aware of is her sorrow. She is in a place of her own. Mary does indeed carry Jesus' life into her own life, as the bodies of mother and child are held close one last time. Mary's tears wash. They begin a healing process.